Hello, everybody. Welcome back to New Mexico State Men's Basketball News. I'm Marshall, and we have a very special video for you guys today. We're going to be talking about former Aggie legend Randy Brown. It was suggested. I made a video about Clayton Henry. That was the last video, so if you guys haven't checked that out, please go check that out before you watch this one. I like making these player analysis videos where I talk about former Aggies and what they were able to do at New Mexico State or any other colleges that they were at, and then what they were able to do professionally. And Randy Brown is one of 16 Aggies to make the leap from college basketball to the NBA. We've had multiple Aggies play professional basketball, and I'm not even sure how many because we've had a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if it's over 100. Just a whole ton of that, a whole ton of professional basketball players, which is huge, which typically a lot of players, if you play Division I basketball, you can play overseas. But Randy Brown was able to go to the NBA, and not a lot of people obviously go to the NBA. You guys already know there's probably about 400 to 500 NBA players out of 8 billion people on the planet. I mean, obviously you have to be a guy to play in the NBA, so I'm not sure how many guys there are on the planet, but probably somewhere around 3 to 4 billion, I would say. And so for him to be able to make it there is awesome. This video was suggested last video, like I was talking about earlier, in the comments to make a video on him, and I'm actually kind of surprised I didn't think about doing a video on him because I was talking about making a video on Wendell McKennis Jr., who's arguably the greatest Aggie of all time, according to who you talk to, and he's actually a fan of the social media accounts. So make sure you guys go check those out at NM State MBB News. I was also talking about making a video about William Benjamin Jr., which in the same comment was actually talking about how he was in the NCAA dunk contest or something kind of around the lines of that, which honestly I didn't even know. I want to say I've heard about it because it sounded like pretty familiar, but I also don't remember looking too much into it, so that's something I'll look into for a future video. I really want to talk about Randy Brown, with him being a 3-time NBA champion for the Bulls. Yes, the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan and all that. He was part of the Last Chance U, or not Last Chance U, The Last Dance. I'm so used to saying Last Chance U because I love that documentary. I watched it a whole bunch of times, more than I probably should, and then got it confused with The Last Dance and all that because, last. So I think it's a pretty respectable mistake. But let's get right into this video. So first things first, Randy Brown actually didn't spend his entire college basketball career at New Mexico State. He was at Houston for a couple seasons. For his couple seasons there, he averaged about 5 points, 4 assists, about 3-ish rebounds. Was really great in the defensive end there and at New Mexico State, and just in general, his whole entire career, even in the NBA. I believe he averaged about 2 or 3 steals a game at Houston. Shot the ball pretty well. The biggest mistake he made, or the biggest problems he had on the court, was his turnover. His usage rate was relatively high. He was a good point guard, good playmaking point guard. Had a lot of great assists, but also had a lot of turnovers. But he makes it up with his defense, with getting a whole lot of steals his entire career. I think in college basketball, every year he played, he always averaged at least like 2 steals a game, which is insane for a 6'2", 190-pound guard. When he was at New Mexico State for a couple seasons, he averaged just under 13 points and 5 assists. Like I said, his turnovers are a little bit higher than usual, than you would like. But again, he makes up with that with his defense. I think he had a couple years where he was averaging about 3 steals, even closer to 4 steals a game, which again is amazing for a point guard in college basketball. And they were the Big West at the time, which they were really competitive in that conference, and the Big West is a really competitive conference in general, so that was awesome for him. His best scoring season was his second to last of college basketball, where he averaged just over 13 a game, averaged about 4 assists and 3 rebounds. Again, about 2-3 steals a game, just was really great overall on the defensive end. And got a decent good amount of rebounds too for, like I said, a 6'2" guard. Really competitive overall. He averaged 9 points and 5 assists for his whole college career, playing for both Houston and New Mexico State, and that was good enough to make him the 31st pick by the Sacramento Kings in the 1991 draft. Talking more on his shooting splits in college, he shot about 44 to 45% from the field, which is not too bad. He had some seasons where he was shooting over 50%, so that's awesome. Didn't shoot the 3-ball too greatly. He only shot about 31% from 3, but he was still a guy you can leave open, and he would knock it down if he was wide open. Shot about 70% from the free throw line, which typically you'd want higher from a point guard, but it could always be worse. It could be like Shaq, where you're shooting like 30 to 40%, but again, Shaq was a center, and taller guys tend to have a harder time shooting the free throws because their arms are so long, and it just affects the shot a little bit. I looked into it a little bit. There's actually some videos on YouTube of why big men have a harder time shooting free throws. Randy Brown, obviously not a big man, so again, hopefully, or I wish he would have shot the free throw ball a little bit better, but 70% isn't too bad, and the Aggies will take it. It's not a whole lot of guys that the Aggies get that can shoot 70% from the free throw line. Like I've talked about in previous videos, they seem to be cursed with free throws or something. He had a pretty decent, good NBA career, played for multiple teams, the Kings, Bulls, Celtics, Suns. Most notably for the Bulls, where he was in the Last Dance documentary, did a lot of great things, had good relationships with the players, Michael Jordan and all that. So it's just amazing that he played with the GOAT. I mean, he's my GOAT. I consider Michael Jordan the GOAT. Some people might say LeBron, some people might say Kobe, but there's no argument made that those guys are definitely up there. Mine is Michael Jordan. The fact that he got to play with him, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, win 3 rings with those guys was awesome. He wasn't there for the first 3 rings, but he was there for the last 3 rings. His first season with the Bulls was that 95-96 season. And then 96, 97, then 97, 98, which was the year the Last Dance documentary was filmed. So, and then he was there for some seasons after that, after Michael Jordan left, took more on a role, was able to put himself in a position to possibly win the Most Improved Player of the Year. They're out of the votes. He was like 10th in voting or something like that. So he was in the votes, went from about averaging 4 points to 8 points. And part of that was because he had a bigger role in the team with Michael Jordan not being there. I can't remember when Scottie Pippen left, but I just remember he was on the Blazers. That's why I'm a big Scottie Pippen fan, because obviously I liked watching him on the Bulls. I mean, I wasn't allowed to watch him at the time, but when I watched highlights, then he was also on the Blazers. Obviously wasn't as good for the Blazers as he was the Bulls. Wish he was, because we could have maybe won a couple rings there, because we had some solid teams. Just always lost to the Lakers, it felt like. But always a big Scottie Pippen fan, so it's cool that Randy Brown, former Aggie, got to play with one of my favorite players, being a Blazer, obviously. Hit his best scoring season, that 99 season, when he almost, well, I wouldn't say almost, because he was 10th in voting, or tied for 10th with a lot of other guys for Most Improved Player of the Year. But he averaged just under 9 points a game at 8.8. And then for his whole career, he averaged just under 5 points. Was still pretty solid overall, did some good things at the defensive end. Turnovers was always an issue. But he made up for it on defense. But if he just would have cut out the turnovers a little bit, he would have been a way more efficient player, would have had his plus minus a lot higher. But hey, he was in the NBA for a reason, did a lot of great things. Again, not a lot of guys can go to the NBA, and he did just that, and it was pretty productive. You know, was a solid role player for those teams that won the championships. He was definitely deserving of those rings, and I don't think the Bulls would have been as good without him. I still think they'd be a dominant team and probably still win those rings, but they wouldn't have been able to have been as successful, or maybe they wouldn't have been able to, you know, win all those games that they did, or like go 72-10 in 96 or whatever, or have that, you know, in the Last Dance season, the 97-98 season, go on that stretch and win it against the Jazz and all that. Just really awesome that he was a part of those teams and part of that documentary, and it's just really cool to shed the light on New Mexico State. A lot of guys might know Randy Brown, but just might not know that he, you know, was an Aggie. And but we Aggie fans will always know that. I knew who Randy Brown was. I mean, when I started watching more basketball, watching those Bulls teams, because obviously my parents, they loved watching that team, and so I got to know who he was, but I never knew he was an Aggie until I went to the school and found that out. I can't remember how I found out, but I was like, oh, that's awesome. Which again, I can't believe I didn't think about making a video on him, because I feel like that'd be awesome to do, talk about an NBA champion. We talked about guys like Pascal Siakam and Trevelyan Queen, certain guys being in the NBA. Maybe I'll make other videos about other guys in the NBA, like Sim Boular was I think it's like 7'5", really huge dude. Probably 300 something pounds, I think. We could always make a video on him too. Please let me know what videos you guys want to see on other players too. Like I said, I'm thinking about doing videos on Wendell McCase Jr., William Benjamin, and I'll look at other guys to do as well. Also, a quick thing, want to shout out my sister for giving me the shirt. It says, "It's funny how you think I'm listening." Hopefully you guys are listening to this video. I remember one time I wore this in class, and my professor saw it, and he was like, "You better be listening," and I was not actually listening. I feel like that's why he called on me. He probably noticed I wasn't, but still got an A in the class, so hey, we'll take it. One thing I did forget to point out is that Randy's actually a native out of Chicago, so it was cool how he got to play for his home city, or hometown, I guess I would call it. I don't know why I said home city or whatever. He played for his hometown team and was able to win championships with them, so that's really awesome. Was part of he was part of the greatest Bulls teams ever. So the fact that he's from there, was able to play there. I think there's a guy on their team right now. His name's Ayo. I don't know how to pronounce Ayo, and then his last name starts with a D. It's really hard to pronounce. I'm really bad at pronouncing names, but I've been watching that guy. He's a Chicago native as well. Played high school ball there, was a legend there. Can't remember where he played college basketball at, but he was a hometown legend there. Doing great things for the Bulls, just as well as Randy Brown did, except Randy Brown won some championships for the Bulls. I think overall that's going to do for the video. Just wanted to, you know, really just talk about him and his, you know, great NBA career and great college career as well. You guys get to know a little bit more about him. Was pretty good at scoring the ball, pretty efficient with that. Was good overall, you know, was pretty, you know, decently spread out stat lines, you know, and all that. Was able to get some good rebounds, good assists. Fun player to watch. Again, the turnovers was a big issue, but a lot of point guards have that issue where they turn over the ball a lot. I know Russell Westbrook had moments like that too, but he's a dribble double machine. Randy Brown did not have a triple double. That would have been awesome. But still was able to do great things, being a playmaker, getting his teammates involved. Again, if he would have just cleaned it up a little bit and been a little more efficient with less turnovers, his career would have been even more memorable and would have probably had more of a chance to shine in the NBA. But he always got really good minutes in the NBA. In college, it was always in the rotation, always doing really great things, playing 20, 30 minutes a game. So he was just had a huge impact on every team he was on. I really appreciate you guys for watching the video. Please, again, let me know in the comment section what videos you guys want to see next, what players. Again, I'm planning on making those videos about the players I was talking about earlier in the video, and there can always be more to come. I have work tomorrow, so I'm not sure. This video will hopefully get up tomorrow, just probably later in the day. Try to get some other videos uploaded as well, get all situated, and then school starts back up in about a month, which is crazy how fast time flies. And so you'll stop seeing this background, you'll start seeing more Aggie stuff in the background. If you've been watching the videos, you've been hearing me say that a lot of times, but we get new guys or new girls on who's watching guys, girls, people, whatever it is. We get new people to the channel every day. We're at 656 subscribers now, getting almost at 40 in the last month, which is awesome. Really appreciate you guys for that. Please keep supporting the shorts videos. Those are really helping me out a lot. I feel like those are what's drawing a lot of attention. I've seen some people comment on those videos. I think it's just random people that don't follow the channel, hating on some certain things. Like I'll post like, oh, Jordan Rawls knocks down a free throw against Louisiana Tech or whatever, and like, oh, well, why'd you post this? Like, bro, come on now. Let me do my thing, you know what I'm saying? Or there was even one with Femi. He had like a nice, what was it? What play was it? I think it was against Florida International University, FIU. It's a nice move in the paint, and then people were calling like an offensive foul. How, like, why was that not called? Which one, refs are bad? Two, it's a muscle play, bro. Like, get in the weight room, dog, if you think it's a foul. Sorry, I gotta talk my crap a little bit. Love working out, so gotta use it to your advantage when you can. And Femi's a big, strong dude. Hopefully, he can do some great things at Minnesota this year. Again, that's all I have for you guys today. Please comment, and I'm out.